Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
Let's get right into it with some calm or chaos, starting with some pitiful performances at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers, he had fallen on all of our early season rankings lists, and maybe for good reason. 3.7 points, 22 for 34, only 195 yards passing, 1 interception, and 1 fumble lost, 0 touchdowns. Is this calm or chaos for Aaron Rodgers after just 1 week?
It's looking scary. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking very scary for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We saw Christian Watson drop that wide open deep touchdown, and it seems like from there it was just all downhill.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough to watch, honestly. Like, especially as a Christian Watson owner in a couple of leagues, I was excited to see him get that target, and he's probably not going to see the ball ever again. So, tough one to watch for the Packers as a whole. But Aaron Rodgers, I'm still leaning towards calm. He's still Aaron Rodgers.
You need someone to catch the ball, Sean.
Someone's got to start catching the ball, though. So, I need to see him again. Like, if this
start
happens multiple times, I'll be fully out on Rodgers. But for now, I'd give him another shot. Who do they play next week?
I have no idea.
They play the Bears. I'd definitely give him another shot next week.
If he doesn't get it done against the Bears,
yeah,
he's cut off.
That might be immediate full chaos. All right. Matt Stafford, 9.8 points. Matt felt this one personally. 29 for 41, so not that bad of a completion percentage. Still got 240 yards and a touchdown, but 3 interceptions and just not a lot of yards late in that game. Calm or chaos here for Staff?
Calm. I got you, Matt. Easily calm.
You.
Bills D, elite. I'm so calm on Staff.
I'm a little bit.
No.
Like, I'm like 95%
calm on Aaron Rodgers. You better be calm on Matt.
I'm more
95%
confident.
Calm. I'm just more nervous about his O-line than anything. They didn't blitz once, and he got hit 15 times. It got sacked 7 times. What happens when they go up against a team that's going to be blitzing all game? Like, this offensive line might be porous.
Just throw screens to Cooper Kupp.
I mean, obviously, I think he's probably going to be okay, but there's a part of me that's just a little nervous about this O-line. Like, it's scary. But
he still tripled Aaron Rodgers' points.
He did do that, so you might be right. I'm definitely still calm, but just a little nervous. My eyebrows raised. Last quarterback here, Trey Lance, 9.96 points in his debut as the starter here. Not really debut, but debut for the season anyways. 13 for 28, 164 yards. Did add 13 carries on the ground for 54 yards, but no touchdowns, no turnovers. Just a pretty boring day at the office. Calm or chaos here?
I mean, like, I can't really put it in the chaos category because I didn't really have high expectations to begin with. So, like, I feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like this is anything
and he was
crazy.
Playing in like 3 feet of water.
That was absurd.
It was nuts.
I'm staying calm for that reason. I think this game, pretty much everyone we're going to run into from this game, I'm probably leaning calm just because of the absurd weather, and both teams weren't that great to begin with. So maybe the 49ers have more expectations than the Bears, but still not the best
one plus side,
conditions.
Trey Lance was he led the team in carries as soon as Eli Mitchell was hurt. So there's always that rushing upside. He just got to stay on the dry field.
Yeah, I think that is a good floor for him if he's able to get around 10 carries a game. That should help his fantasy value for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Q said bring in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Bring him in.
No, thank you. Keep running out Trey Lance for a bit at least. All right, let's move on to the Patriots running backs. Both of them struggled in this game. Damian Harris, 7.8 points, only got 39% of the snaps. And Ramondre Stevenson, 4.7 points, 25% of the snaps. Is this calm or chaos for either of these guys? Both of these guys? What's the deal here?
This is what we expected.
Yep.
Full-on committee.
Chaos.
Yeah,
it will be chaos all season long. So
yeah.
Get used to it.
Not trusting them. It's chaotic back there.
Yeah, I think it's chaos as well. Unfortunate. Damian Harris, again led in snaps and did look pretty good when he got the ball, but the lack of volume is just going to kill every running back in this backfield. Ty Montgomery played 38% of the snaps, I think, or 37, for finishing out the other third of this backfield.
Right.
Out of the blue. Like, you never know what's going to happen with Patriots running backs. As always, don't rely on them as an RB2 this year in any situation. Maybe if bye-week flex filling.
Don't do it.
All right. Alvin Kamara, bigger name here, 7.6 points, played 62% of the snaps, only had 9 carries for 39 yards, and caught 3 or 4 passes for 7 yards. Is this calm or chaos here?
I'm staying calm.
Calm.
It's Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, come on.
I'm staying calm too, but against the Falcons, I definitely had higher expectations.
Definitely.
It's week 1. They're just
disappointing.
Feeling out
Taysom
the
Hill
offense.
took all his thunder on the ground somehow.
He did. He somehow did, for sure.
He's so good for no reason.
He's nuts. He just runs rampant.
All right. Staying calm on Kamara. David Montgomery also in the swamp, 8 points, 66% of the snaps, so still did lead the backfield, but had 17 carries for 26 yards and 3 or 4 for 24 yards. Calm or chaos?
He'll get a pass. I like seeing the 17 carries.
I was just going to say that. If anything, I'm like happy.
Yeah. I'm definitely calm as well. I think with the weather situation plus the volume, he'll be fine. I'm not sweating it at all. This team's going to need him to do anything this year. So, Derrick Henry, 8.2 points, 68% of the snaps, did get 21 carries for 82 yards, and did not catch any passes on only 1 target. Calm or chaos?
And he got smacked.
He did get smacked.
He got smacked.
It was nice to see Derrick Henry get a little taste of his own medicine for once.
I don't know if that was nice. I hate to see it.
But I'm staying calm. It's Derrick Henry. 21 carries. He's going to be getting right around that every game. And you know he's going to break one. So I'm not worried about him at all.
How did he not score?
I have no idea.
Do you know how many touchdown parlays were ruined?
Oh, yeah.
So many.
A lot. Mine.
Yeah.
Mine
as well. Same boat. 21 carries. I'm staying calm as well. You got to stay calm on Derrick Henry. He's going to get this volume, and knowing he has no passing game upside, you know these games are going to happen. He's going to have these games with 7, 8, 9 points where he gets 20 carries, gets 70, 80, 90 yards, doesn't find the end zone, but more often than not, he'll find the end zone. He'll be fine. Josh Jacobs, 8.3 points, 60% of the snaps, lowest since week 10 of last year. Had 10 carries for 57 yards and 1 catch on 1 target for 16 yards. Is this calm or chaos on Josh?
See, guys.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if he just got in the end zone one time, like, he wouldn't be on the list.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but I mean, you can't just give people touchdowns. So I mean,
just like you can't take them away. I always try to take them away.
So, like,
yeah, you do.
I wouldn't say chaos, but it is something to look
something
at.
to monitor.
Yeah,
it looks like the Raiders are a little bit more comfortable throwing the ball this year now that Devonta Adams is there.
Yeah. The lack of targets is the only thing that really gives me some concern.
But he's never
been like a big receiver, but he's always got a few. Just one is kind of scary. But I'm still staying calm here. Josh Jacobs, he should be fine. He's still getting the majority of the snaps, majority of the plays, but just something to keep an eye on for sure.
And they were also playing the Chargers where they were down like all game.
Yeah. If you don't have his backup, maybe keep an eye on backups out there. Zamir White, most likely. Although Brandon Bolden did steal some thunder.
Drake?
Brandon Bolden stole some thunder as well. So I don't think that's going to happen most weeks.
It better not, or I will cry.
Yeah, I will cry as well. All right, let's move on to some wide receivers. Devonta Smith, Philadelphia Eagle. As Eagles fans, it was tough to watch. 0 points, big old bagel in week 1. Did get 4 targets, did play 96% of the snaps, and I think he ran the most routes of any player on the Eagles.
That man was just out there running around.
He's just running for fun, bro.
Just doing some cardio this weekend, apparently.
Track star.
Yeah. I'm still staying calm here for Devonta Smith. It's 4 targets isn't that bad. He was a little bit up and down in the target share, and we do see that he has obviously an elite wide receiver 1 across from him now. I think he'll be more involved. I think there will be games where A.J. Brown's getting doubled. Smitty becomes the more open guy, and he gets some work that way, but definitely a disappointing start, to say the least.
So, like, if you drafted Devonta Smith as your flex, you're still just like fine just rolling him out there again next week?
I'm
Depends
definitely
who I
more
have.
nervous. Depends on my lineup. I'm probably going to bump him down a couple spots, like in my ranks this week, my wide receiver ranks. I expected more, especially against the Lions. But Minnesota is going to be a competitive game. Eagles are going to have to throw. I might be all right with running him out there again. It really depends on my options.
Yeah.
I want to give you some names, but I'm not sure who.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other guys like in that flex territory that also struggled, though. Like, I can't think of anyone off top that was like that good.
Hunter Renfro.
Like, if you had Robbie Anderson after he
bad.
went off like that, would you consider starting Robbie Anderson over him?
Robbie bugs me
It's
out,
so
bro.
ugly. It's so ugly.
It is
Probably
ugly.
not. Probably
I
not.
probably would still go Smitty one more week, but it would hurt if Robbie Anderson snapped again next
I
week.
know.
Like, what about like Devin Duvernay caught 2 touchdowns this week?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Why
I think
hell
I'm
no,
definitely
though?
going
Why hell
Smitty.
no?
No way he does that again.
All right. Maybe not
What
two.
about one of the Commanders wide receivers, Dotson or
Ooh,
Curtis Samuel?
Yeah.
Curtis
Jahan.
Samuel, I like.
Oh,
I kind of like both of them, and they
Go
are
for
playing
it.
the Lions, but that one's a little scary too. Christian Kirk. I think I'd go Christian Kirk over him.
Yeah.
all right.
It's
Solely
tough.
based
He's in
on
a tough
volume.
spot right now. Like, after a 0, it's really tough to trust him again. I kind of want to just see it happen before I
Just
continue
get
to
a
trust him.
point. Just
Bro,
one
it's
point.
worse that he really almost played every single snap.
I know. Just running.
Just
know.
running for no reason.
Yeah, poor fella.
Biggest
Tough break.
decoy.
All right, moving on to some more wide receiver disappointments. Mike made it. Mike Williams, 3 points, 2 catches on 4 targets for 10 yards. Calm or chaos?
So calm, especially with Keenan out.
Come on.
Bro,
Yeah, big time
Come
calm as
on.
well.
confident.
4 targets isn't that great, but no receiver on this team, I think, got 4 targets, and Keenan Allen still might be out. So Mike Williams is going to have to become the alpha on this team. I'm staying calm. I'm rolling him out there again next week. No problem.
No problem.
Darnell Mooney, 1.8 points again in the swamp here. 1 catch on 3 targets for 8 yards. Calm or chaos?
Still calm because the weather, right?
Yeah. Everyone
Has to
in that
be-
game gets a pass.
Easy. Yeah, gets a pass. But I am still scared because I drafted him confidently as my flex, and it did not turn out so well week 1.
That was your old boy.
That was, bro. He still is. He still is.
All right, to give you some hope. They play the Packers next week, like we mentioned, and Justin Jefferson just dropped like a 40 bomb. So
That's Justin Jefferson.
it is Justin
You're
Jefferson, but
comparing
he
Justin
could at least get like
Mooney.
12. You know what I mean?
He
Yeah.
get 12.
All right.
I'll take a 12.
We do have Geek Mill in the chat as well. What's up, Geek?
Yo.
What's up, geek?
Got to get you on again soon. Allen Robinson, 2.2 points on Thursday Night Football. Feels like forever ago at this point. 1 catch on 2 targets for 12 yards. Calm or chaos?
Chaos.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's chaos. We expected
2
so
targets
much.
is ridiculous.
Yeah,
And people
I'm a
were
little
coming
nervous.
into the league like this season drafting him as like a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I'm big time nervous just because he was on Calm or Chaos every week for like 7 straight weeks last year, and we just kept saying it's got to figure itself out, and it never did. What makes us believe it's going to figure itself out now after already knowing it? We've seen him struggle playing all the snaps. So
He
Maybe
needs
he's
to
the
eat
wash
breakfast with Cooper Kupp and staff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He needs to join them. It's the
he
only
needs
way.
to figure that out. But I'm definitely leaning towards Chaos, but I'm not fully Chaos yet. I think I'd still might roll him out there as a flex, depending on who else I had.
They get the Falcons next week, so like we
Smitty?
said for Stafford, if
Yeah.
you can't,
He's got to
can't
do it against the Falcons.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Who are you
A-Rob or
putting
Smitty?
higher? Yeah.
Probably A-Rob against the Falcons.
Yeah, A-Rob.
We just saw Jarvis Landry put 18 points up on the Falcons.
Smitty got 0.
and
Smitty
even as
got
a Jarvis
0.
Landry stand. Yeah, Smitty did get 0. All right, Robert Woods, 2.3 points, 1 catch on 2 targets for 13 yards. Calm or chaos here?
Chaos.
Yeah.
I did not even like Robert Woods coming into this year. So, I mean, that offense, strictly Derrick Henry, Treylon Burks was, I'm pretty sure he was a lot more involved than Robert Woods.
I believe he
But-
was as well.
2 targets is crazy for the vet on that team. Tannehill is not good. That offense in general isn't good unless it's Derrick Henry or somehow Dontrell Hilliard out of the woodwork. But, yeah, I don't like Robert Woods, so I'm going to say chaos.
Yeah,
I
I'm a little
agree.
nervous as well with Robert Woods. It was just a scary game. Like, it wasn't pretty. I don't know. Not feeling it. I'm not fully chaotic as well, but I'm leaning towards chaos too. It's too early to be like full blown chaos on some of these guys. Like it's week 1, can't fully overreact, but
I'm full blown chaos on this next guy.
Amari Cooper, 4.7 points, 3 catches on 6 targets though for 17 yards. Calm or chaos?
Chaos.
I mean, I do enjoy the 6 targets.
Yeah, I think the targets are a little bit of a help there, but I think the team is bad, man.
Bad.
Aside from the running backs.
I mean, obviously they did end up winning, but it was an ugly game, and it was pretty much just run the ball and play defense. Like the passing game, Jacoby Brissett, I just don't have faith in him to consistently get Cooper the ball.
Nope.
So I think he's more of like a mid flex until maybe Watson's back, and even then we have to see what he can do. He hasn't played a full regular season football game in like 3 years, so pretty chaotic on Cooper right now.
That's tough.
Yep.
All right, moving on to tight ends. Irv Smith Jr., 0 points, big old bagel. Only played 31% of the snaps, though, coming off that injury. He did have 2 targets, but no catches, calm, or chaos.
What'd you expect?
Yeah.
There's Jeff Thielen, Dalv, Irv Smith, bottom of the food chain there. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be the weeks where he catches a touchdown and he's back on everyone's radar, but I don't see it happening on a consistent enough basis for like people to be trusting him week in and week out.
Yeah, I'm calm on as a low end tight end 1, but I'd rather keep him on my bench and wait until we see it happen at this point. It's going to be too tough to consistently start him in leagues. And another guy probably in the same kind of tier here, Cole Kmet, 0 points on 83% of the snaps. So he even played more of the game, but he was in the swamp. 1 target, no catches.
The swamp was rough.
The swamp
was really rough.
There was 21
none
completions
of my players playing a swamp this year
between both quarterbacks. Like nobody was completing passes. They did get maybe 280 yards. Some random guys caught some passes. Like I know Equinemius St. Brown caught that touchdown, but this whole game is kind of fluky. So Kmet may get a pass, but 1 target is still pretty abysmal.
I mean, watching that game, you couldn't even see like the camera. Like K-Arp said, it was like watching it in the 1920s.
Yeah, it was. It was bad. All right, last tight end, Dawson Knox, 1.5 points, 86% of the snaps, and only 2 targets, 1 catch for 5 yards. Calm or chaos?
Calm.
It's a bit, I don't know, bro. It's a bit chaotic. Like, they weren't even looking at him.
Yeah,
a little bit.
They were snapping, and they didn't look at him.
And they just didn't care that he was even on the field. It was like,
I'm still leaning towards calm because tight ends are kind of few and far between, and Dawson Knox on that offense could easily snap any given week. But definitely a little bit disappointing for that first game, especially after everything that's happened in his life. You wanted him to kind of have a big bounce back game. Hopefully that comes in week 2. It'll definitely come for sure.
Promise?
Promise.
All right. Thank you.
Promise.
All right.
Quick question in the chat from Squid's Giant Chode. What a great name. He says he has Brandon Cooks and had a solid week 1, but he's just not his guy. Would you try to trade him for CD Lamb or not worth it?
Yes.
I would definitely. That's actually a little scary with Cooper Rush, but I still think I'd probably do that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like upside, obviously, like CD has it, but
yeah,
like,
it depends
Brandon
on your
Cooks,
roster as well.
Like, Brandon Cooks is so ugly on your team, but he's
good
so
for, like,
consistent.
12,
like he's so
14
good.
Yeah. He's always going to get a good target share. And Davis Mills looked pretty legit in that game. You can't lie.
He
like,
looked legit last year, bro. He's good.
Yeah. So I'm not that down on the Texans as I was. Obviously, the Colts looked also pretty pitiful, but that's a tough one. It depends on the rest of your roster. I think I'd still take CD Lamb over Cooks, but it's definitely a lot closer than it was before the Dak injury. Hopefully, Dak's back in like a month, maybe 6 weeks. Then you could have most of the season with Dak there, but still a little scary with Cooper Rush.
Brandon Cooks is legit. That's all I'm saying.
Brandon Cooks is legit, though.
So
don't hate on him too much. All right. Before we get into some trust or bust, let's do today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest way to play fantasy football, and you can get started right now with their Monday Night Melee. $5,000 to first place tonight. If you join in, it's only $5 entry, quick 3-person draft, takes maybe 5 minutes. You got a shot at 5K. They also have contests for MLB, NHL, NBA. So whatever you're looking to do, they have it. And when you sign up, just make sure you use our promo code SUPERFB for a 100% deposit match of up to $100. So if you deposit $100, you get another 100 match free. If you only want to deposit 10, you'll still get 10 matched free. So again, our promo code SUPERFB, SUPERFB, and you can play on the Underdog Fantasy app for iOS and Android, or you can sign up online at underdogfantasy.com.
Lovely.
Vince coming in the chat as well. Kyle Phillips led the Titans in receiving, so absolute panic on Woods. Kyle Phillips leading is pretty sad.
Vince, I was trying to tell everybody who was at Sean's about Kyle Phillips. They ain't want to listen to me.
Just giving you guys a quick update on this other guy's roster, Brandon Cooks. He said he has Kyler, Alvin, Kamara, Aaron Jones, T. Higgins. Obviously, he's banged up, but hopefully he should be back soon. Brandon Cooks, Darren Waller, and his flexes are Elijah Moore and Bateman. He also has Pickens, Olave as bench wide receivers. So I think if you do take CD, I'm not against Bateman, Higgins, and then CD. Like, that's not an awful trio. I'm not against it.
CD definitely has like the highest upside. So
yeah, I mean, if you do get CD, CD's probably going to be your wide receiver 1 for the second half of the season, no doubt. So I think I do it. I think you also have a good enough roster to still win a few games while CD it might be struggling a bit. So do it. Do it now. All right, trust or bust, starting at the quarterback position. Carson Wentz, 35.72 points. Saw some vintage 2017 Carson Wentz in this game. 27 for 41, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns. Can't be a Carson Wentz game without 2 interceptions. 6 carries for 12 yards. Is this trust or bust here for Carson?
I want to see it again, not against the Jaguars.
Yep.
I am in the exact same boat. I liked
Although
what I saw.
He did look good. He got all of his receivers involved. That was very nice to see.
His receivers were good. It was definitely a close game where he had to continue to throw throughout the game. Mm-hmm. I think they are not going to be up in most games, so he's probably going to have to throw a lot in general. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of what we saw from Carson Wentz a few years ago. But I do want to see it again before I'm fully trusting him as my QB for sure. Jameis Winston, 25.66 points, 23 of 34, 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also added 9 yards on the ground. Took him a while to get going, but ended up closing out that game pretty strong. Is this trust or bust here?
I think he's one of the most like solid backups you can have.
Yeah,
like, he's going to throw the ball a lot every game. Like
as long as MT's healthy, MT looked like he was prime MT again. So
yeah,
I like Jameis.
And he ended up playing more snaps than he was supposed to. I think he played 37 snaps. He was supposed to be on like a 30 count. I think he ran like 33 routes or something like that. Either way, he looked pretty good. He got pretty much everybody involved on that offense, maybe aside from Kamara. But his team looked pretty solid. I don't hate Jameis Winston as a backup. And even if you have like one of those low-end QB ones, like maybe you invested in Trey Lance as your starter, I'd definitely pick up Jameis Winston as a backup for sure.
Richie.
All right, moving on to running backs here. Dontrell Hilliard led the way for some of these big games here. 21.9 points on only 18% of the snaps. He had 2 carries for 8 yards, 3 catches on 4 targets for 61 yards, and found the end zone twice. Is this trust or bust here for Hilliard?
This is the definition of a fluke.
Yeah, big fluke.
I was hoping you guys were going to be in the same boat and not doing that as well. I think he's going to be added in a ton of leagues. If you are the Derrick Henry owner, I think you should probably scoop him up. Although Haskins was involved too, but I don't think he did barely anything. Hilliard is definitely someone you want to keep on your radar if you're the Derrick Henry owner. If not, 2 touchdowns on 3 catches on only 18% of the snaps. This dude was barely on the field and found the end zone twice. Obviously made some plays happen, but
right place, right time.
He might get some more snaps earned because of this game, but he was barely on the field still after making big plays in a game where they ended up being down and having to throw a ton. Derrick Henry still saw the majority of the snaps here. I'm leaning bust here, not trusting.
100%.
Like it.
Another interesting one here. Antonio Gibson, 20 points on 64% of the snaps after everyone wrote him off for dead. 14 carries for 58 yards and 7 catches on 8 targets for 72 yards. Is this trust or bust?
I'm still not trusting. I'm so I don't want to talk about it.
He's such a bug.
I've never liked him. I don't even have a reason because those numbers are good.
Yeah, 7 catches on 8 targets is crazy for a running back, 72 yards. I think as long as Brian Robinson's out, Gibby's obviously going to get the bulk of the work there. So, I mean, I would lean towards trusting him depending on his matchup. This was a good matchup for him, but if the Commanders are going up against one of the top defenses, I would rather avoid Gibson.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think he's a pretty good sell high candidate. I know maybe not trading in week 1, but if he does continue to have a couple decent performances while Brian Robinson's still out with injury, I would definitely consider selling high on Antonio Gibson. I don't think he's going to be this consistent all season. We've seen him fumble a lot, and he fumbled in this game. I just think with the lack of depth there and the lack of a true running back, I think that's why he saw most of these carries and whatnot. J.D. McKissic played the other 40% of the snaps. I don't think any other running back played much at all. So it's pretty much just those two, and McKissic only got 3 carries for 8 yards. If they're running the ball, Gibson's going to be the back that's in the backfield. And he did have way more targets than McKissic, which was interesting, but still not trusting it yet.
I agree.
James Robinson, 19.9 points on 49% of the snaps. Great to see coming back from such a major injury that maybe was supposed to hold him out until November, but he's ready for week 1 somehow. 11 carries for 66 yards. And 1 catch on 2 targets for 3 yards and found the end zone twice in this game. Trust or bust?
Trust.
He's back.
J-Rob, I'm so sorry for ever doubting you. Travis Etienne, you suck. Give the backfield.
He dropped a wide open touchdown.
Yeah, he dropped that on red zone. Everyone nationwide saw that drop. Tough one to watch. But he did look pretty good outside of that. He did have only 4 carries, but got 47 yards on 4 carries. And still did catch 2 catches for 18 yards, but he did fumble. So I do think James Robinson, I'm trusting more right now. And I want to see more from Etienne in the future if I'm trying to trust him as my RB2. He started going in 3rd and 4th rounds of drafts. So it's a lot of stock invested in a guy that struggled a bit. James Robinson, as long as he's healthy, as long as he's
RB1 on the Jags, bro.
I'm trusting.
I'm about to start him next week. Should I flex him?
It's juicy.
I feel like you have... Maybe you don't have to.
You stole him from me.
2 touchdowns definitely helps him there. Obviously, it's going to be tough to get multiple touchdowns every week, but
can't take him away.
He's done it before.
Can't take him away.
Can't take away the touchdowns.
Michael Carter, 17 points, 60% of the snaps, outsnapping rookie phenom Breece Hall. 10 carries for 60 yards, 7 catches on 9 targets for 40 yards. Trust or bust?
I'm not trusting 9 targets a game.
I'm low-key trusting with Joe Flacco at the helm. Joe Flacco is the king of dumping it off. Michael Carter's being in there for most of the snaps. Carter's going to be getting catches out of the backfield. It's ugly. It's going to be ugly. The Jets are going to be ugly. They were down this entire game, and it wasn't even close. And it was against Joe Flacco's former team. He did
not
still did
all
barely
in
anything.
On Michael Carter, but this is a good sign.
Yeah, I do think he's a decent fill-in RB2. If your RB2 stunk it up this week, guys we were talking about earlier, maybe Michael Carter, you have him on your bench. It wouldn't be against throwing him in there. I don't know what matchup he has. We'll talk about that on Wednesday, but I don't hate it. I'm trusted a little bit. I'm a little bit interested now. All the offseason hype was on Breece Hall, and Michael Carter ended up being the guy to put up some numbers. So a little bit intriguing. All right, let's move on to some wide receivers for trust or bust here. Starting off with Temple alum Robbie Anderson, 23.2 points on 100% of the snaps, 5 catches on 8 targets for 102 yards and a touchdown. A nice long touchdown that we haven't seen in a while from Robbie Anderson. Trust or bust?
Bro, I mean, those numbers, bro, 100% of the snaps.
He's playing
8
all
targets,
the routes, running all the routes.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Believe me, I don't want to trust him, and I don't want to trust Baker. But you can't deny those numbers.
You can't. But consistently, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I don't expect consistently either, but
If Robbie Anderson's out there as a free agent in your league, I would definitely be targeting him in waivers on this week for sure. But also, I don't know if I'm fully trusted because we've seen Robbie Anderson have big games and disappear, but I am definitely happy to see Robbie Anderson being involved here. And outperformed pretty much everyone else on this team. So trusting for now with an eyebrow raised. Not sure if I would put him in my lineups yet. I kind of want to see it again. Vince is upset that we didn't mention Breece Hall. We're talking about guys
Chaos
that had good games.
He would be on Commer Chaos. And
he did have 10 targets on 45% of the snaps, so he still was involved and still was getting dumped off to just like Michael Carter. But Vince, we're focused on the guys that had the big performances this week. Breece was mid, so he doesn't get mentioned.
Vince just wants us to talk about his team.
Maybe he does. Geek did ask, is it time to buy low on Breece Hall? I don't hate it if someone's panicking. I mean, I do think he's going to continue to get some more work there for sure. So, but I do think this is going to be closer to 50-50 than you would have hoped if you targeted Breece Hall. So
I agree.
Michael Thomas, 22.7 points on 61% of the snaps. First time we've seen him in ages. 5 catches on 8 targets, 57 yards, found the end zone twice. Trust or bust here for MT.
Trust.
Big trust.
Gotta trust him. All we had to see was it happen once.
Yep.
This is a guy we know has the experience in his background. He's going to put up big numbers like this. Still see 8 targets, even playing limited snaps. Gotta trust Michael Thomas right now.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
He played like 61% of snaps and 8 targets with like just over half the snaps is crazy.
Yeah, he was seeing a lot of the work. I think he ran the 3rd most routes on this team too. I think Landry and might have been Olave also had more, but Michael Thomas obviously performed very well. I'm trusting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Duvernay, 21.4 points on 52% of the snaps. So only played about half the game, but still did catch all 4 of his targets for 54 yards and found the end zone twice. Trust or bust?
Neither.
Yeah, I'm not trusting. I'm not busting.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent. I'm interested in picking him up. Maybe not putting too much fab on him or anything like that, but he's worth like adding to your bench and just seeing if he continues to be relevant part of this offense. I still think Bateman's going to be the number 1. Andrews obviously had a quiet day at the office. Andrews is going to be more involved as well. So we'll see. Keep an eye on him. Not trust, not bust. Curtis Samuel, 19.2 points, 71% of the snaps, 8 catches on 11 targets for 55 yards and a touchdown, along with 4 carries for 17 yards. Trust or bust here for Curtis?
Trust him.
Yeah, I low-key him too.
Curtis Samuel. 11 targets.
I haven't seen him in a
crazy.
while, man. It feels good to see him perform.
It feels good seeing the Commanders use him how he was used in Carolina. Because he had like a top 25 year in Carolina. It was like top 25 or top 30. But, I mean, as long as he's involved in the passing game, getting those 4 carries is big. I'm excited to see what Curtis Samuel can do.
Yeah, and getting 11 targets compared to like Terry McLaurin's 4 and Dotson's 5. Like he was Wentz's go-to guy pretty much all day in this offense.
He's that bull.
Obviously, he didn't gain much yards from it. He was maybe more of like the quick pass guy, but at the end of the day,
touchdown.
11 targets is 11 targets. Still found the end zone. Curtis Samuel's definitely worth a look. I'm trusting to an extent, but there are a lot of mouths to feed. So I want to see how he performs against not the Jaguars, like we said with Wentz as well. Jarvis Landry, as I mentioned a minute ago, 18.4 points on 72% of the snaps, 7 catches on 9 targets for 114 yards. Y'all already know I got to be trusting my guy.
The biggest smile on his face.
He's back. He's back.
He had to put the jersey on too.
Had to throw the jersey on, bro. Jarvis Landry hadn't had a game like this in a while. It was great to see. And he's already got a good connection with Jameis Winston. Obviously, Michael Thomas is probably going to end up being the alpha on this team, but I don't think Olave is taking Landry's number 2 spot anytime soon. His catches look good. He looked good on the field. I was happy to see.
I like Jarv.
Trusting or busting?
I don't know if I'm trusting week in and week out, but another matchup-based flex play. I like it.
I'm in the same boat as well. I'm not fully putting him in my lineup yet, but I mean, it's tough. Like, do you start him over Juju? Like,
no,
you don't. But I
You
definitely am
might.
happy to have him on my bench. I'm not.
You might.
Not that
though.
crazy.
He's
But
I'm not that
considering
crazy.
it.
Look, we'll
He's
talk. We'll
considering
talk
it.
about who I'm starting next week,
All
or
right.
not next week, on Wednesday. So we'll get into that. All right, last one here. Just mentioned him a second ago as well. Jahan Dotson, 18 points on 88% of the snaps, 3 catches on 5 targets for 40 yards, and found the end zone twice. Rookie wide receiver, trust or bust.
I mean, he looked
these
good.
Receivers.
He
I
looked.
like these receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did look pretty good. I mean, all 3 of the wide receivers on this team look pretty good. Obviously, honestly, Terry looked the worst, only had 4 targets, 2 catches, got that touchdown, which was a nice touchdown, obviously, but all 3 of them look pretty good. Jaguars defense, obviously not that great, but I do think all of them should be owned in most leagues for sure.
They're going to be like
Commanders.
the Steelers wide receivers that we talked about last year. Every single
Yeah,
week.
they could be. They could be. Just changing all the time. You never know who's going to be the guy.
The Commanders are going to have to throw a lot too.
Yeah, agree with that as well. All right, let's move on to some tight ends before we do some waiver targets. Starting with O.J. Howard, a name that hasn't been mentioned in ages. He had 17.8 points on only 17% of the snaps, 2 catches, 2 targets, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unreal stat line.
Evans' ass stat line.
I might have
Trust
lied
or bust
about the fluke thing I said earlier. I think this is like the true definition of a fluke.
Yeah, this
bro.
is fluke.
Fluke.
I don't know. I mean,
Bust.
he was obviously
My
a
man was
talented
on the
guy.
field for like 8 plays.
I know. He was obviously a talented guy coming out of college. Got overshined when Gronk came to Tampa Bay and then ended up pretty much being banged up most of his career. So we haven't seen him in ages. So like finally seeing him, he barely played, but he did make an impact when he barely played. Tight ends are few and far between. And Brevin Jordan, who's a guy I like a lot, didn't end up doing much either here. I'm not fully sold, obviously. I'm still leaning towards bust. Like this was pretty fluky, but keep an eye on O.J. Howard. 2 touchdowns for a tight end is still pretty impressive.
It is.
It's impressive for anybody, but
yeah,
2 targets, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Come on.
A little fluky, obviously, but I don't hate it. I like that. Obviously, he was talented a while ago.
I would like
want
to see him on
stay
the field
healthy.
more, see what he could do with like more opportunity.
Agree with that as well. I think he obviously earned it this week for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Taysom Hill, 15.3 points on 26% of the snaps. Another low snap guy here. Had 4 carries for 81 yards. Found the end zone. Had 1 catch on 1 target for 2 yards. Is this guy really a tight end? I don't know. Trust or bust.
Bro, no one's ever trusting this.
You can't trust him, but he
trust
could
Taysom.
easily have a game like this like any other week.
Yeah.
The
You
Saints
cannot.
always find ways to get him the ball. And when he has the ball, I feel like he looks like the best player on the field. For some
I know.
reason. It
He's
makes
so
no
good
sense.
for no reason.
Swiss Army knife, like Chris Collinsworth loves to say. Yeah, I'm not trusting him. I don't want him on my team. He's bugs.
So
he makes me
bugs.
nervous. But if you are bold enough to start him, go for it. Maybe a realistic start for the future here. Gerald Everett, 14.4 points on 66% of the snaps, 3 catches on 4 targets for 54 yards, found the end zone. Trust or bust?
Trust.
I'm not fully trusting.
I'm
but
trusting.
With Keenan out, I do think he could be a little bit more trustworthy.
You're
for
right.
Sure.
You're
He's
right.
a big red zone target. I mean, the Chargers love to throw the ball. I was happy Everett had a good day. I was thinking about scooping him last week. I'm mad that I didn't.
Yeah, I would be mad as well for sure. I probably should have scooped him as well. I think I started Irv Smith in a league, and I had to bench George Kittle as well in a league. So it was tough, but Gerald Everett looked pretty good. I respect it. A bit of a trust there. Couple of things in the chat here. Unwari Might said, "How's it going?" and asked if he should be concerned about the George Kittle injury. I think you're always concerned about the George Kittle injury. I think coming into this draft season, you probably should have been already prepping for a backup plan, unlike most tight ends. We haven't seen him play a full season in a long time. So I'm a little concerned. I do think he should be back sooner rather than later, but make sure you have that backup plan prepared. And if he does come back, he still could easily get re-injured. So make sure it's a good backup plan. Gerald Everett out of the last 3 guys, if he's still out there in your league, I think he'd be worth scooping and throwing in your lineup for sure in the meantime. I think that was the only other question in there before we get into our waiver targets. Vince mentioned he's scooping Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
We already
bet
knew
you
that.
are, bud.
You're a madman for Taysom Hill for no reason.
Starting to
He is
over
crazy,
Josh Allen.
Didn't have to expose him like that.
I thought.
All right, waiver targets. I'll start us off here. Keep this one quick, where I'll just have one guy we're going to mention. I'm going to start with the most obvious one here, Jeff Wilson. He's owned in 4% of leagues. Eli Mitchell is going to be out for about 2 months with this sprained MCL. So Jeff Wilson's definitely a guy I want to own in this 49ers backfield. It's usually pretty valuable, but also keep an eye, obviously, on Tyrion Davis-Price. He was a healthy inactive, obviously because they expected everyone to stay healthy, but now he could definitely see some playing time, and anything can happen in the 49ers backfield, as we've seen before. But Jeff Wilson would be first on my guys you would want to own. Davis-Price would be second. T-Gods, who you got for a waiver target this week?
You guys might hate me for this. I mean, and I get it. So my waiver target, Cade York, the kicker. They matter.
Okay.
They do matter.
They do matter.
Like, okay, so Cade York dropped 16 this week. That 16 could have easily won like someone out there a game. Like 100% it could have. He had
Someone that started Nick Folk, maybe.
Like 2 extra points, 4 field goals from 24, 34, 35, and a 58-yard walk-off. He's clutch. Like, he's on a team where, like, they have, like, decent weapons. They can get them down the field, but, like, they're not always going to be able to finish. Like, they're not elite. So, like, they could easily go down to, like, the 40, 30-yard line and just get stuck. And here comes Cade York. Like, man is a menace. And, like, I understand kickers are, like, boring and stuff, but, like, they really, like, they do matter.
They definitely do matter.
That 58-yarder looked like it would have been good from 80.
Yeah.
It still hit, like, the top of the net.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way this goes in. Panthers have to win this game. Did not happen.
Fucking ding that joint.
Ice in his veins.
Yeah.
He's owned in 5% of leagues, by the way. 5%.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
Started in 4%. Someone has the backup kicker. Sorry.
Quick fun fact here as well. Looking at the top kickers from this week, Younghoe Koo obviously dominated with 18 points. Cade York second. The next 6 kickers are not owned in most leagues. At least I think like maybe 60% tops. Like Chris Boswell's owned in 3% of leagues. He had 13 points. Greg Joseph's owned in 2% of leagues. He had 13 points as well. Like there's some guys out there that had some good amount of points. There's a lot of good kickers out there. If you started Nick Folk, please drop him and pick up one of these guys. He had 1 point. Patriots maybe aren't going to be that pretty this year, so.
They weren't last year.
They made the playoffs last year. Don't disrespect
Still not pretty.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but they won games. All right, Matt. All right, Matt. Who is your waiver target?
My waiver target, someone I was just talking about. He's owned in most leagues, but still 44% not owned in. That is Curtis Samuel. Played 71% of the snaps in his first game back from that injury. Had 8 catches on 11 targets, like we said, for 55 yards, found the end zone. Still getting carries out of the backfield, had 4 for 17 yards. He's kind of like a Deebo Samuel-esque player. Not going to compare him to Deebo because there's only one Deebo. Yeah. But, I mean, he's going to get targets. He's going to get carries out of the backfield. The Commanders are going to find ways to get him the ball. Wentz already shows a great relationship with him. 11 targets is great to see, and I expect the Commanders to have to throw a lot throughout the season. And all these receivers look good. Curtis Samuel looked the best. Not sure if that's going to keep up, but he's definitely going to have some value down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. And sleeper leagues, I don't know how he's already owned in 66% of leagues.
Bro, I swore it was like 33 yesterday when I looked.
Yeah, people must be able to pick him up before they were picking him up. I don't know. He was only started in 3% of leagues, so you know he wasn't owned in that many. And on ESPN, I think he's only owned in 8% of leagues. So Go out there, make sure you get Curtis Samuel for sure. I like that as well. Any more questions in the chat here before we wrap up and get out of here? I do see a quick question here. Do you think I should trade for Justin Jefferson? Definitely. It depends what you're giving up, but Justin Jefferson's going to be elite this year. I think we all knew that. He had a monster game. He's going to continue to be a monster for sure. Yeah. We agree with Squids here. Squids giant joke. Trade for Jay Jettas, your whole starting roster, and your left nut.
He wants Eckler and Moore. Depending on what that Moore is, I may do it.
I still might. I said I would draft Eckler.
Well,
over
Eckler and
Jefferson.
Moore, not like DJ Moore.
Yeah, I know. Like I would say Eckler and maybe your wide receiver 2 for Jefferson and his wide receiver or running back 2 or maybe your RB3. Depends who your other running backs are too. Obviously depends on your roster construction. You don't want to give up like your RB1 and have no running backs to start every week, but I think you got to at least look into it. I mean, it's week 1, so Jefferson's hype is probably at an all-time high. Maybe wait a couple of weeks until maybe he has more of a down week. For sure. And then quick question here, Jaylen Warren or Khalil Herbert on waivers? I think I'm leaning towards Jaylen Warren there. We don't know about Najee Harris's injury situation. And I think Khalil Herbert is still going to be the backup here. We saw Montgomery's volume. We saw him still get the majority of the snaps. Herbert did find the end zone, but I still think it's going to be Montgomery for most of the snaps this season.
I agree.
This guy already has Aaron Jones, ETN, Ramondre, and Melvin Gordon. So
that RB2 is going to be rough.
Yeah, RB2 is going to be a little bit tough. I mean, ETN still could be a solid RB2. I mean, he still had
J-Rob.
I don't know how many points he had. He probably had like 8. But yeah, maybe wait a couple weeks before you start making those trades. I typically like to wait at least 3 to 4 weeks before making, especially such a major move like that.
Yep.
Let's see how your team, like Eckler could go off next week and have 30 points. Justin Jefferson could have 12, and you would immediately regret that trade. So,
yes, please wait till at least week 4. I traded Jonathan Taylor last year for Aaron Jones in week 3.
Week 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, laugh it up, Matt.
Trade.
I still got 2 trophies back there.
I know, and they're both going to be mine at the end of this year.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, you wish.
At least one of them.
One of them's mine. All right. I think that's a wrap here for the week 1 recap. We'll be back on Wednesday with our week 2 preview. If you are doing Underdog Fantasy, don't forget, use our promo code SuperFB. Make sure you're also following us here on Twitch. If you're watching, turn on notifications so you don't miss us on Wednesday. Throw us a sub on YouTube as well. All of our content ends up going there if you did miss any of our shows. We're also on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just look up Super Fantasy Bros. You will find us. We have more content all over the place. See you guys on Wednesday. Peace.